You said we're gonna do something to your brain.
Welcome to Dead Air 3. This time we're talking about FUBAR, free school meals, Donald Trump's indictment, Starfield, and more. We're also now on SoundCloud, so if you're used to watching the other podcast, what's it called? Sanshausen, that's the one. Somewhere it should be there as well, I think. I'm definitely not going to negotiate with Apple on getting things back. Mm-hmm. I think it should be on Apple iTunes.
I think it is, yeah.
Very organised here.
Yeah.
Talking to Apple is like walking through a plastic maze.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the Boisterous Brothers, they took it down off Apple because I put a swear word in one of the titles. Mm-hmm. And that's against their policy, which is fair enough. But no matter what I did, like talking to them, they wouldn't put it back up. And then I just had to redo. I had to sneak it back in, basically, rename it.
But did they send you a poop emoji in response?
No.
There's that, I guess.
No, I mean, I like to think that Twitter is actually, has someone manually doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Control, Shift, F8, that's the poop emoji, or whatever.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody still has a job there.
Doing poop emojis.
Poop emojis, yeah.
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 Yeah, well, okay. So do you want to talk about FUBAR?
Yeah, let's start with FUBAR. Would you like to...
FUBAR is a new Netflix series. It's 8 parts. Each part is about 45 minutes. It stars Arnold as a going to be retired CIA operative in the same manner as Stan from American Dad. Mm-hmm. And...
Yep, and he goes on one last job. Because a guy that he threw off a cliff years ago had a son that Arnold liked, and the son is now a terrorist, I guess.
Yeah. It's the classic Apache, what was it called? Operation Apache, Operation Comanche storyline. Remember those games on SNES? SNES,
so.
Not SNES. Master System. No, not that. Genesis.
Mm-hmm. I remember Genesis, yeah.
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 Mega Drive. Yeah.
Commodore 64.
I never played Commodore.
Anyway. We'll get to games later.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so he goes on this one last trip, and he shows up wherever it is. I want to say that they said it was Guyana. It didn't really look like Guyana to me, but...
Yep,
what do I know?
They said it was Guyana.
It kind of looked like Southern California, I thought.
Yep.
So he gets there and finds out that his daughter is a secret CIA operative as well on the same job, because nobody thought to inform either of them, I guess. Mm-hmm. I can't really remember what the excuse was.
Arnold and
Arnold, the show can happen.
They meet on the same job.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of implied that they did know that the CIA did know that was going to happen. Yeah, meet your new partner, your daughter.
I think they said that at one point. They're like, we didn't tell you because not important.
Yeah.
We
wanted to see the look on your face, big man.
To be fair, I don't know how they could have... They may not even have known that they were on the same job because the show makes it sound like there are 8 people working at the CIA.
Yes.
It's a recurring thing throughout.
So did you like it?
No, I did not like it.
Oh, why not?
Well, because, it's either trying to be like an action comedy. Mm-hmm. I thought the action was boring. I thought the comedy wasn't funny. Is the main thing. If either of those things had been done right, then maybe I could care. But there's nothing there in terms of characters to care about.
No.
Everybody is a moron at the CIA in this universe.
Yeah. It's got like I said, it's got the same logic as American Dad, but American Dad is 20 minutes episodes where, it's just Stan takes a pill which allows him not to sleep anymore. Mm-hmm. Or, they invent time. It's a formula for silliness.
For a comedy.
Whereas a lot of this was played absolutely straight.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got the worst of everything. It was just, the action was crap. Mm-hmm. I think that's the technical term for it, crap.
That's right, yeah.
And the comedy was, just lame, and each episode should have been 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they weren't. They were 45 minutes, and it was a long 45 minutes.
There were multiple times throughout. I think, especially when we were on the last episode, because we did power through. We were watching for a bit, and then we were like, "Do you want to go outside with the dog for a minute and take a break?" And so I pushed pause and got up, and I was like, 15 minutes is all we've watched. I feel like we've been watching this for an hour.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's so slow, and the same jokes all the time was a big problem for me. And, like, you know, it didn't land the first time, it didn't land the second, third, fourth, fifth time. I get it, Fortune Feimster has an ugly toe. It still didn't make me laugh. No matter how many times you do it.
Yeah.
You know. Well, what else do you think? What made you dislike it as well?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it
did
was
you?
an excellent, an ironic throwback, full of quips and wit.
As evidenced by the many times per episode that you were going, bail, from across the room.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, even as background noise, it was sort of like toe-curlingly slow.
Yeah, we were playing games in the background.
Yeah.
And it was still like, yeah,
Yeah,
hard.
Again, I sort of think of, I mean, and it wasn't a sitcom. It was nothing like a sitcom, but I think of like Family Matters or something where they have like one episode about racism or one episode about, you know, Urkel's parents don't care about him or something, and it's like done seriously. And like the end of Neighbours, it's the same song at the end, but just played on a piano, and it's very melancholic rather than
Yeah.
which was the end of Neighbours. And
Are you saying that those shows, like, because they're funny and they're sitcoms, but then they have like serious moments, that's the difference? Or
I'm saying that they can do that, and those episodes are usually, to be honest, the ones I would skip. But it's one episode out of like 23.
Yeah.
And it's done fairly well. And like I remember, especially the Family Matters episode where they like have like I think like a 2 or 3 parter about like the N-word appearing in the school like graffiti.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah, we were like, wow.
Yeah, and it's it's definitely like joke light compared to the rest of it, but it makes its point and then it moves on. Whereas this just makes the same point over and over again.
Yeah. And what is that point that it makes over and over?
Oh, something to do with don't be your dad, but do, or also fuck Donnie
Yeah.
from The Office.
Yeah.
David Wallace from The Office.
Yeah.
You know, I mean Arnold is divorced, and then his ex-wife is going to get married, but then he has an affair with her, and like the daughter basically does the same thing.
And then it's
and like we're meant to like them.
like every episode too is the same. Like it feels like it goes on forever when it happens. It's probably like 60 seconds long scenes in each episode, but it feels like 15 fucking minutes of like, you know, it was hard for me to be your father because I was in the CIA. Yes, but you weren't a good father. It's hard for me to be a good girlfriend because I'm in the CIA. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing to like expand upon. It was more like plot beats. I mean, there were times where this felt like it was written by an AI to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It was definitely soulless,
Yeah.
if that's what you mean.
Yeah, and just like the way that every episode had to like hit exactly the same beats. Do you know what I mean?
And it really should have been more sitcom-y. I'm going to just keep hammering that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's worthwhile. It should have been funny.
You know, like the new ones they were trying to do with like, oh, these are sort of multi-layered characters, and Arnold is a good guy, but he does go behind his wife's back, and he does cheat. You know, he does basically ruin her future marriage and everything. Like, you can do that if you can write it, but you know, you like Arrested Development, like they're dickheads, but you kind of like them and feel for them, and
Yeah, and it's funny.
and that's because it's funny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was trying to do the 80s throwback, you know, the showdown at the end with the wedding attended by like 10 people.
Yeah.
And all of that, and it just did not have the chops.
It was trying to do throwbacks throughout
It
because
looked weirdly cheap. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I got that feeling in the early episodes, like, because there'd be times where, you know, there was an action scene and Arnold's like, you have to get to the chopper. And, like, I remember.
He did say that, yeah.
He said that, like, in multiple episodes, I think. But the chopper, like, yeah, I remember Arnold movies. I wish I was watching one now rather than this.
Yeah.
definitely they were trying to do a lot of throwbacks. I mean, I kept getting vibes of, like, this is trying to be kind of like True Lies, you know, which I think we watched, like, last year at some point, revisited that. You know, he's a CIA operative, and, like, hiding it from his family, and then they get involved in a terrorist plot that he's trying to resolve. But True Lies was actually, like, funny to me compared to this.
And mercifully short.
Yeah, and Arnold's acting was better.
Well, okay, yeah, we talked about that, didn't we? My theory is that I think kind of probably after like 2000, but definitely after he was governor, most directors were so intimidated of him that they just... It's not even like they couldn't get a good performance, they just didn't direct him. Like, he's fine in everything. He's himself.
Yeah.
And he's charismatic, but like I think back to Twins with Danny DeVito, like they both had really good performances there.
Yeah,
like,
they're both very funny.
yeah, but not just funny. Like Arnold's character in Twins has quite a few moments where it's like proper acting, and he can do it. And I remember, like, after he was governor, one of the first thing he did was, it wasn't called Border Town. What was it called? It was the same year he did Escape Plan with Sylvester Stallone. And yeah, they were just dreadful. Like, he was just sort of allowed to do what he wants, but he's not Donald Pleasance. It's, it's interesting because it's Arnold, but if it was just some guy and he'd never done these interesting performances in Terminator or Twins and stuff, you'd just be like, who's this guy?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, a feeling that I get is Arnold might be one of those actors who his performance is really dependent on how he's directed. You know what I mean? Just because there's so much variation throughout his movies. But I also think that, to your point, that a big part of it is the fact that he's so big and, like, he's Arnold. Like, I have to imagine that even, like, a successful director could be intimidated by that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Kind of like the documentary about the making of the island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Where the original director was fired and they brought in Frankenheimer. Frankenstein.
Franken-something. Al Franken.
Hammerstein. No.
Some guy. Yeah.
But a very, like, established director, and he was intimidated, clearly, by Marlon Brando. Maybe not intimidated, like, scared.
Yeah, just maybe, like, not as interested in directing him. Because it sounded like they let
in
him
awe
do
of him, really.
whatever the hell he wanted.
And thank God, he's the best part of that movie.
He is, yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, let me take this ice bucket and put it on my head.
Yeah,
that's what my
I want
character
to put
would
an
do.
ice bucket on my head. That was his idea.
Yeah.
And, oh, look at this little man. I want him in every scene that I'm in.
He shall be in every scene.
Yeah. Yeah, that documentary was actually interesting. The original director sneaking on set and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, obsessed with it still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting documentary.
Yeah, what's it called?
I can't remember what it's called. It's probably one of the only documentaries about the island of Dr. Moreau, so...
About the making of it, yeah.
If I remember, I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, if we remember names and stuff.
An hour from now.
Yeah, I wonder that, but also Arnold is choosing the roles he takes, and they're all the same role. Like, I am a retired sheriff on the Arizona border. I am a nearly retired 75-year-old CIA wet work man.
Yeah.
Like, jumping off things and
yeah,
things like that.
that's a whole other thing. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Like 75 years old, like, I don't believe that you're doing any of that stuff.
No.
Like some shots.
The different physique of the stuntman.
It's clearly not him. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's choosing these roles. He's not choosing, difficult roles where, he plays an alcoholic bum who has to come to terms with something or something.
Yeah.
He's,
He's action man.
He's interested in the glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I definitely got the feeling they were trying to make it like a throwback thing. Because there were just so many times where it, like, vaguely reminded me of other Arnold movies that are superior. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know if those things are just meant to be member berries, or if they're meant to be, like, is it intentional? Like, am I supposed to laugh at like in like a meta way, because however they wanted it to come across, it did not work for me.
No, I felt like it treated the audience with contempt.
Yeah, we were saying that throughout. I feel like I'm being condescended to.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. A lot.
Yeah. And
SEAL Team 6, the movie, it was not.
Yeah.
That was entertaining.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on from FUBAR?
Yeah, I did have one other thing to say about it, which is
No. Yeah, use that for the thumbnail, yeah.
While we were watching, I think we were like more than halfway through, and I was like, I wonder what other people are saying about this. So I just popped into IMDb to look at reviews, just out of curiosity, and it was kind of fascinating. Normally with a lot of IMDb reviews, there's like 2 categories of review. I hated it.
I loved it.
I loved it. Yeah, and then a little bit of in between.
Like the odd IMDb review you get from like 1995 where it's like written like it was for a magazine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tells a little story.
Yeah.
I went to watch the film with my grandmother. And
Sam Velocipede's third film comes during his... Yeah.
This was like kind of a different dynamic that I found interesting. It was either like it's whatever, 5 out of 10, or I love it because it's a throwback to Arnold movies and it's not woke. And then a third type, I hate it because it's woke. So that was fascinating to me. I don't know if I have a lot to say about that, just it was interesting reading through them, like how, if you're into talking about like what's woke and what isn't, you can kind of see it anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Because there's one that's like, this is super woke because all the men are stupid and the women are all strong and perfect and amazing. The mom had 0 point. She was just like a dummy, a prop really.
The daughter was
a cunt. Sorry. Not anywhere near being like an amazing hero. Really there was nobody to root for me as well, because I kind of disliked everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a lot of also like, another thing I hated, a lot of breaks for unnecessary melodramatic shit that nobody cares about.
You didn't like happy, quirky, intelligent, nerdy, non-threatening black man. Yeah, that was a meta throwback.
First scene with him, like, okay, we've got a funny, non-threatening black man.
Yeah.
Okay. Comedic relief.
And
no, it wasn't funny.
Black man.
The actor was fine. A lot of people were fine. But the writing was so awful that, I don't know if there's anything they could do to...
It should have been, like, the first scene should have been Arnold, like, clasping hands with a 75-year-old Carl Weathers, and then them both going like, oh. And the whole thing is they're doing all these, like, jobs, like where they're, like, busting through sewers and stuff, but they're ancient and they can't cope with it. But no one can see it. Or something, I don't know.
Yeah. Did you also, what did you think of the, like, other people from popular 90s things showing up for, like, one scene? Like, Tom Arnold shows up for, like, 2 scenes.
What was
like,
he
remember when he was alongside Tom Arnold in True Lies. Or alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Tom Arnold alongside Tom Arnold in being Tom Arnold.
May as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
May as well. That
kind
is that what you just said? Yeah. Well, I'll keep on going then. What else could Tom Arnold be in?
Something to do with selling vodka out of crystal skulls.
Toy Story, but all the toys are just different toys of Tom Arnold. And they're just sitting around all the time smoking crack.
Yeah. That sounds more fun.
Like, Andy's coming.
Yeah, because there was like the guy from Kids in the
Hall
Hall shows up. There's a couple times where like people who are in like popular 90s stuff show up and have
who else
have
other
nothing
than Tom
to do.
Arnold?
The dude from Kids in the Hall.
What's that?
I think he played the therapist. It was a sketch comedy show on Comedy Central.
Say no more.
I think it was Canadian actually. Not sure. Yeah, stuff like that where. Yeah, I just felt condescended to. It's like, I remember Arnold movies.
I remember.
There's some really good ones. Yeah, I'd rather be watching those.
I'd rather be watching Predator.
Yeah, Predator or Terminator or even True Lies I'd rather be watching again, which I don't think is a great movie, but it was better than this.
Yeah, what about Eraser?
About what?
Eraser.
Oh, Eraser. Yeah,
Eraser.
Eraser.
Rubber. They should have called it that.
This is the next half hour, folks.
I'm not being remotely disruptive. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather watch Eraser again as well.
Yeah. All
Just something happens. You know?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I guess that's probably enough of FUBAR. I don't know what else I have to say.
It looked
did not
so
enjoy
cheap,
it.
and I know it wasn't cheap.
It did look cheap, yeah.
All the explosions.
And every time we go back
there's not enough extras.
we go to CIA head. Oh, so the explosions. Like, I think you missed one that was especially hilarious, where it's a fight scene and Arnold and daughter Arnold are fighting two bad guys who are standing next to like an explosive tank of something.
Yeah.
Who are just firing guns straight at them, and then Arnold and daughter Arnold are just walking down the middle of the warehouse firing straight at them, and then they blow up the tank in between the two guys, and it looks seriously like a little like. And it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I almost had to pause it and rewind and be like, "Look at this."
And none of the bad guys
Had to
can
keep
aim.
moving. Yeah, none of the bad guys can aim. Common, yeah. Nobody really cares about taking cover in a firefight. People 10 feet away from each other, just like with fully automatic guns and can't hit each other.
Yeah, they should have had Jesse Ventura in as a boss.
Yeah. It needed more with a villain too. Like, I thought Diego Luna was pretty good as the bad guy.
But
he, it's so bare bones. His character, you know, he does have charisma at least. I was slightly happier every time he was on screen, but
we've got to work together. We're enemies, but we have to work together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then at
Press
the end,
X to move the thing, to step on it, to get up to the ventilation shaft.
At the end, when he gets like blown up in the ventilation shaft and like this massive explosion, and then he shows up at the wedding later, and he's got like a 3-month-old like grafted burn.
Yeah, it's more. It's like 5 years old. I mean,
it's like completely healed.
Yeah, it should have been like weeping, right? It should have been like weeping, like
he got
yellow
on a plane and
mucus
immediately came here.
Yeah.
Just.
He got on a. He should have actually had like a flannel on it. Like it's still like pretty much an open wound.
Yeah.
Like he's come to that wedding expecting to die.
He should have smoke coming off of him when he walks in the room.
And like hair like that, and like black fingernails. Yeah.
I mean, that would be something. That'd be funny. That'd make me laugh.
Smoke coming up from him. Like, my feelings are.
Yeah. Like it's just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been more slapstick if it was trying to be. It was trying to be funny, and it wasn't funny.
Just failing. Yeah. Yeah. What was I saying when we were about to watch it? Like, I think this one's gonna be Grandpa's guitars.
Grandpa's guitars. That's a very good way of saying it. Just like the 3.5 episodes of Flight 81719264.
What?
Alpha Niner. Remember the flight? Was it called Flight?
Yes. The Denzel Washington one?
No.
Oh, okay.
The TV series on Netflix where a flight goes up. A flight, an aircraft goes up into the sky and then disappears and then reappears 5 years later, but no one has any recollection of what's happened.
Yeah, what was that called?
Flighting.
I don't think that was it, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe, well, whatever. We watched a couple episodes of that, and it was dreadful. Manifest. That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very CW. I know, you asked me what that meant when I said it before.
Christian Wetwork.
Basically.
CW.
It was a TV channel that they played, like teen melodramatic stuff with, like, I don't know, like, I want to say, like, Gilmore Girls and shit like that.
Dawson's Creek.
Poor quality, cheap shows with no-name actors,
right?
With terrible writing and acting. That's what I think of when I think of the CW.
Okay, all right.
I couldn't tell you more shit because I never watched it.
So we started to watch some of that because the last half of the 4th season dropped, but then we just couldn't get into it. And when we went onto it, we discovered that I had watched like a whole episode like 3 years ago.
You watched like an episode and a half.
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago, yeah. And this has happened a number of times where we're like, have we seen this? And we look at it like, apparently we watched a bunch of this and then stopped, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I want to say that we got to about the same place that you quit at.
No, we got further.
Further? Okay. Yeah.
I got to 1.5 episodes, we got to like 3.5. We were in episode 4.
Yeah. I can't remember.
The acting.
The acting is pretty bad. Yeah.
What is next?
Okay, so, what should I want to do next? We were gonna briefly talk about the Trump arraignment. Do you want to do that next?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
And how does Tom Arnold play into this?
He might. Who knows?
Tom Arnold as Comey and Trump
Yeah.
and Vladimir Putin.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I have a ton to say about this. Just it does look pretty intense. I mean, they've got.
Well, explain what it is.
Okay. Trump took a bunch of boxes with him when he left the White House, and full of memorabilia. He has like newspaper clippings and.
Be quiet, dog.
And he also had like top secret documents in these boxes, and
He had them willy-nilly, like in his bathroom and
they were
stuff.
like in his bathroom and his ballroom, and some of them were like spread out on the floor.
In a Florida house or something.
I think they were initially at like his, I want to say like his vacation home in New Jersey or something before being moved to Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
And I guess they got wind that he may have had these documents, and he was asked to go through boxes and see if he had anything and return them. And then he conspired with one of his employees who was an aide for him in the White House to move the boxes around and try to hide them from his own lawyers so they couldn't turn them over. And they've got audio recordings of him talking to people. I want to say it was like a couple of biographers and like a journalist or something. And he was like, look at this, like, the transcripts are pretty funny. Look at this is secret, this is confidential. Look at this, nobody's supposed to see this. Look at this.
And do we know what those things were?
No, but they said that the documents, they've said what some of the documents were, some of the classified and, like, top secret documents were about American, basically, like, where we're weak, where a terrorist might attack us,
Right.
what our response would be to a nuclear threat, and stuff like that.
Pretty serious stuff then. I mean,
Yeah, in the indictment, they claimed that the materials were, it's not the exact line, but something to the effect of, like, would be devastating to American national security if they got out. And he had them just, like, sitting in, like, storage rooms that anybody could walk into. Yeah. And they've got, like I said, they have audio recording of him sharing some of these documents with people, and text messages showing him coordinating with his aide who was helping him hide stuff.
So this is substantial against Trump. He's been charged.
Yeah.
He has been charged.
Yes. He was
so
just
what
arraigned.
comes next?
Well, I mean, they didn't take him into custody. He's out. So just moving forward, the most recent thing I saw was the prosecutor in the case asking that certain parts of discovery not be released to the public because they contain, and because they contained information which could identify uncharged individuals. Like, basically, like, we might charge more people over this, and we don't want to alert them.
So what are the chances of him going to jail over this?
I mean, I guess we'll see. It is a lot of counts.
Not zero.
It's a lot of felonies.
Yeah.
And based on the fact that they have, recorded evidence and text message evidence showing that he did, in fact, try to hide this and not return the documents. He also, like, suggested to his own lawyer, like, wouldn't it be better if there were no documents? Stuff like that. Like, suggesting, like, maybe you should get rid of them.
It would have been better.
Yeah, it would have been better. So, I mean, it looks pretty solid to me, but,
Just Donald Trump watching his lawyer, like, eat these documents one by one. Yeah. Like, come on. You've got 16 boxes.
Yeah.
That's my Trump impression.
Yeah.
Darling.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely curious to see what else comes of it, and especially regarding those other uncharged individuals and third-party transactions that are mentioned. We don't really have details yet, but I'm curious to see how it goes.
Would they put him into jail if they found him guilty?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that with the legal system.
Is there any, like, house arrest thing in the United States?
Yes.
There is?
Yeah, there's house arrest in the United States.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. You say it like, yeah, we're under house arrest. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Sam Bankman-Fried is under house arrest right now.
Right.
awaiting all of that.
And is that just like a cop, like, aiming at your door
I think he's wearing an ankle monitor.
constantly?
So if you
go over the perimeter, it blows your leg off.
yeah, I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's packed, like, full of RDX.
Snake.
Oh, yeah? Does he have to wear an ankle monitor?
I don't know, it's
Don't go off the base, Snake.
thinking more
Fucking
like
alky.
Escape from New York. type
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
right, yeah. That's in his brain, isn't it?
I think it was it the neck or the brain. Yeah, we're gonna
yeah.
blow your head off if you leave or something.
Fuck you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, I mean, what do you think about all that? What's your opinion?
I think that is serious, and if true, he should be charged and jailed. I don't think it's like the worst thing he's done, but obviously it's the worst thing they've got him for.
Yeah.
I think that jailing someone who was president, like actually sending them to prison, is a really big deal and would need to be handled very carefully. But I think if someone's done something so clearly, it's not like they got him on. It's not like they even Al Caponed him, right? Like, oh, you didn't pay your taxes properly.
No,
I mean, this is like serious national security.
Borderline treason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on what he did with them. But,
Yeah.
which we don't know if he did anything with them. To me, like reading about the other stuff that was in the boxes, these just look like trophies, like keepsakes,
But
and he just doesn't care.
even though his intention might not have been to pass them on,
Yeah, it's still a national security problem.
massive dereliction of duty.
In a public, well, not public, but in a private like hotel where these are not kept safe or locked up. A maid could wander in and just all of that. I mean, yeah, intention. Notwithstanding, it seems very dangerous. Yeah.
So I reckon that I know that 2 of his lawyers recently resigned from working for him. So I reckon he flees.
That's what you were saying the other day when we were talking about it.
Penelope, sit down.
Yeah, I mean that would be very, very dumb if he did.
Would it? He could just
Yeah,
live his life on the high seas,
well,
like.
I think he's too much of a narcissist.
Hubbard.
He believes that he's going to get out of this if he just talks at it enough and yells at people enough and name calls the prosecution.
but even then he'll get to a point surely where he is a massive narcissist, but also it's about surviving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Like,
get you. Yeah. I guess we'll find out. Yeah.
I mean, when I say flee as well, I don't mean like literally in hot pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean more like, maybe a really clever way, given the circumstances, is for Trump just to be like, well, you didn't know this about me, but I'm, I love France, and I love Marseille, and that's where I live now. And then kind of like, is it worth it to pursue charges if he's just going to live in France until he dies?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean...
I'm not saying that's what he should do or anything.
No, I understand what you're saying, but that might be...
Maybe not France, maybe Nicaragua.
Russia.
It just ends up, I mean, if it was Russia, if he like decided I'm going to flee to Russia, they'd have to kill him.
Yeah.
To stop him getting there.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah.
It's just Donald Trump and the delivery boy, 2 heavily armed men fighting extradition in a Nicaraguan bunker.
Yeah. Fighting extradition.
Fighting extradition. Yeah, I mean, no, Russia, man. I mean, God.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's fantasy. Like that would be painful for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd ride him around like a monkey.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll see what happens there.
We'll see what happens, yeah.
So I wanted to mention, I put Giuliani after that,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's interesting. There's been a few stories floating around about tapes of Joe Biden when he was the vice president under Obama, taking bribes from Burisma, which is where his son used to have a seat on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself isn't actually interesting because those allegations came to light in, I think, 2016, and it was actually the Trump DOJ that dismissed them because There weren't any tapes. They were just
Yeah, right.
told about the tapes, from what I understand.
Yeah.
The tapes never emerged. There was nothing they could do. True or not, there was nothing they could do, and probably not true. And it's like resurfaced across internet publications in the last couple of weeks, and I trace it all back to Rudy Giuliani because he was talking to Hannity about it at one point, and it's just dredging up this thing which is nonsense. But when people say it's nonsense, it's like, well, it's the same thing as Trump. Why aren't you looking at that? It's biased. But it's not. If you actually look into it, there's just nothing there.
Yeah.
Do I think Joe Biden could have taken a bribe from Burisma? Yes. I don't think he's that stupid. But is that beyond his morals? No, I don't think so.
And if it is true, I want to know about it.
I don't think that people like him need to take bribes like that. I think it's way more indirect and discreet, and way more about, like, perfectly legal bribery of, I'll sign this business contract with you. I'll get your son to sit on the board and do nothing.
Exactly. Or, we'll maybe just favor you a bit for this government contract. Yeah, that shit happens all the time.
We don't need it in writing, it's our gentleman's agreement. If you violate that, well, I can't sue you, but the word will get around on the golf course, sort of thing. So I just thought that was interesting that that's come out again recently, almost like it's new, and it's not. And just a little bit of political theatre.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I mean, Giuliani has his own stuff going on right now anyway, I guess.
Does he?
Yeah. Don't know if I have much to say, just Rudy Giuliani might be some kind of sex pest.
Yeah.
If you could imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I think that he's a lot of things all under the umbrella of, like, compulsive. Like, he just seems compulsive. Like, a lot of the things he does, you can see sometimes when he goes on to Fox, like someone, not so much now, but definitely, like a couple of years ago, like you can tell that he just saw what they were talking about and called in. Like, I want to give you my opinion on this, because half the time they'll say, okay, but what about this? And his answer is, I haven't heard anything about that. I can't comment about that. Like, well, don't fucking phone in then. Tit.
Yeah. He seems like a right fucker.
Da-da!
Yeah, anyway. Don't know what else I have to say about that.
Yeah, you want to talk about Sody Pops?
Sody Pops? Oh god, we didn't even write that down, did we?
No, I didn't need to. It's been on my mind.
Okay, well tell me about Sody Pops.
Well, Christina made us, we were bored, made us watch, apparently her favourite news show, £1,000 Sisters.
You know that's the case when George is like, that, I want to watch that one. That's what we're watching. Alright.
The image was just two enormously fat people on a broken sofa. And £1,000 Sisters, one of them weighs £700.
Yeah, it's like 600 and something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other's like 400.
I don't have anything to say about it. I just wanted to publicly acknowledge it.
Yeah, I mean, what do we watch? Like 3 episodes or some shit while...
more than that, like 5, 6.
Yeah.
A season.
It's when we were waiting for the video to render and upload.
Yeah, we had no choice.
Yeah, that's right.
But to watch it.
Well, the one thing I have to say about that is, wow, thank you HBO for merging with Discovery. This is the kind of content we get now. Is a bunch of shit reality shows that are just like, here's a freak show.
It's a freak show.
Exactly. Like, they try not to frame it that way. Like, oh, these 2 women, they have, this problem and blah, blah, blah. But then they're like zooming in like really close on like how much whipped cream, there's like zero sympathy. It's just a freak show. And it's very exploitative. That said, I did watch several episodes and I'll probably watch more. So
just like Cheaters.
I guess it's our fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Cheaters, yeah.
Yeah, cheating
totally
is a crime, but you can't help put whipped cream in your mouth.
Happens every day.
Putting whipped cream in your face. Yeah, it was a horror show, and like, even though, it was really sad. It was really sad.
It's very sad, yeah, and depressing, and just...
And they seem nice, and just, there is, a massive eating disorder going on. And it is, psychologically rooted, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, And definitely, that's something that I was thinking while watching it is like, there are obese people, plenty of them, who aren't like
Stuffing their face.
stuffing their face constantly. Like there are actually loads of obese people who eat like a fewer calories like on average than like fitter people. There's variation
because they've been long-term obese.
Yes, they
right.
have like metabolic syndrome. We'll talk about that at some point.
Okay. Now.
No,
okay.
when we do that video.
I don't have my notes.
Yeah. And yeah, like with this, obviously it's clearly like an extreme eating disorder.
Yeah.
And I just found that interesting. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't really know what else I have to say about it. Just like very sad and very exploitative, and yeah, they seem nice, but, yeah. So thanks, HBO, for adding more of this shit and getting rid of, the days when you used to make good documentaries, I guess.
Also, they say in, I think maybe the second episode, that they have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And their YouTube channel, they say, is, or the comments at least, are mostly kind of negative. And yeah, what's that about?
Yeah.
Like, so that's like a viable, I mean, I'm sure they're not making like shitloads of money.
Yeah, they said they have like 100,000 subs, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how often they're making videos or whatever.
But whatever, yeah.
But like that's a whole, so there's an audience, like an audience just for like sort of negative content. I don't know why that's a surprise, but
no, why would that be a surprise? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I also wondered if there's crossover with there's like, maybe it's not anymore, maybe it's gone, but I know for a while there was a trend of like people like eating loads of food on YouTube and people watching and enjoying
mukbang.
Huh?
Mukbang. That's what it's called, a mukbang video.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like watch me eat 3 whole pizzas and people found enjoyment in
Get it
this,
everywhere as well.
Yeah.
Now, is that fetish content, or, I mean...
I don't know. I mean, when I've seen that, I often think about how, often, but not always, people who have, like, disordered eating, like, with anorexia or bulimia, like, it can sometimes be, like, a common thing to, like, watch cooking shows, to watch people eating stuff, you know what I mean?
To torture yourself.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Like, I saw research about how, like, if you're dieting, people who are dieting, like, frequently are way more likely to watch cooking shows. Like, you're just thinking about food all the time.
Guinness adverts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So, I don't know if that is what it is, but I wonder if some of it is that. Because it seemed like they had a lot of videos that are like, watch us eat things.
I wonder as well if, like, people with anorexia, you know, like, once you get to the point where you are eating, like, 800 calories a day, like, I wonder if it's kind of almost like living in a hallucination, where you just sort of lose the grip. Like, I've never dieted in my life, but, like, I don't know, I've been a while without food, like 24 hours or something, like going through airports or something, I don't want to buy anything. And I can definitely see how if I went like days without food, I'd start to like lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, is it like that?
I don't know.
What
I mean,
you know?
I have seen...
Remember the housewives lady putting the forks in the quiche?
Yeah, and Housewives of New York, yeah, where they're like going to bake, I think it was like...
Bethany's meal.
What are those things called where it's like a pizza folded in half?
Calzone.
Calzone. Yeah, they're like making calzones, and
Calzone,
she's like
eh?
putting silverware and stuff inside hers and laughing about it. Like, you have a problem. I don't know.
And it just seemed, yeah, kind of like...
I mean, she said she had an eating disorder, so...
Yeah, but I mean, it seemed like that was making her, like, trip a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen stuff showing that, like, if you have, like, a caloric deficit of, like, 400 calories per day, it lowers your IQ by, like, 10 points or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it does affect people and your ability to think clearly, you know? I guess depending on the type of dieting as well. Like, your brain can't make, you know, protein. It needs it, you know? Steve Jobs. Can't just eat fruit all day.
And I suppose this is a nice segue into free school meals.
Yeah, I guess just for a brief mention.
No, I've got a whole bit planned about it.
All right,
yeah.
you tell me about it.
Oh, so, damn, crap. I was not thinking, damn. Oh, now I have to think about words and stuff. The Republican Study Committee, which is a large think tank, policy think tank, have put forward a proposed budget where they would not entirely get rid of free school meals, but get rid of free school meals for entire schools. The way it exists now is in many poor school districts, everyone who goes to that school is entitled to a free school meal.
If they're part of like the program.
They want to kind of streamline it, but also at the same time make it more bureaucratic, because if they did it, it would have to be approved every year.
You have to approve each individual student based on their income level.
Yeah, and they want to give that to the individual states to do it, but they essentially want to get rid of free school meals as they are now, where a whole school can offer free school meals. Discuss.
Yeah.
Did you get free school meals?
No.
I did.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I got free school meals.
Yeah.
It was actually really just a voucher. You know, I remember I went to two separate schools. I got free school meals at both of them. And the first one, you were entitled to £1.50. It was £1.50 worth. And if you're going to get like a meal, a dessert, and a drink, it would be like £1.55. So you still have to like get 5p out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't a school-wide thing by any means.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how they did it at my schools because I'm very old. But I mean, I had to pay for lunch. It was like $2.50 or something. And
$2.50.
except for fast food days, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be like a Friday where it's like Pizza Hut is coming in and they're bringing boxes of pizza, and you can buy a slice of pizza for $5. Or McDonald's or whatever. This was like a frequent occurrence.
Yeah.
And then I also want to say
That's
this, that there was like, in high school we had like a salad bar, which was like your most basic bitch salad stuff ever, like iceberg lettuce and chopped ham and like chopped boiled egg and shredded cheddar cheese and ranch dressing. And it was more expensive, I think, than the regular school lunch, which was like square pizza and a concentrated fruit cup and chocolate milk.
The second school I went to was way more middle class, and they had at least 3 different cafeterias, I think, or at least 2, probably 3, but 2 at least. And if you got free school meals, you couldn't go to the main one where there was a selection, although a pretty bad selection. You had to go to like the other one, which was like a food trolley, and it was always hot dogs. It was either like a wiener in a bun. I think you could get like 2 of those for $1.50, or a slice of pizza. Like old like pizza that they'd made out of basically pure sodium.
Yeah, right. Did you have the sheet pizzas, the square pizzas?
I know what you're talking about. No.
Oh, okay.
Why, you missed them? Where you could get a whole pizza without a crust, you mean?
Yeah, it's just like a square, like a rectangle.
But guaranteed you're going to get a corner.
That was, in high school, that was one of the only school lunches that I ever wanted to eat because it didn't taste absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff they had.
So was yours, you had to pay?
Yeah.
And you couldn't leave?
No, you couldn't leave.
But you could bring sandwiches in?
You could bring like a lunch from home, in like a lunchbox or whatever. But you couldn't leave, no. Although some people did sometimes.
Yeah.
But
where else are you going to have a cigarette?
Yeah, no, there was a definite no, you weren't allowed. This was after Columbine, so, So
you weren't allowed to leave?
Lots of, just after that, there were a lot of schools around the nation that developed some, like, super strict stuff about students. Yeah, for safety reasons, we weren't allowed to leave.
Right. Okay, well, in my school we were. I think they've changed it since then. But we were from, like, year 9, and people would leave and support local businesses by flooding it with, pocket money, I suppose, to buy shit. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine, having to stay in school and eat.
Yeah.
God, gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. School.
So what do you think? school, yeah.
You know, I'm forever fascinated at the, you know, the party of we want to take care of children, unless they're poor, then fuck them.
Well, that's not what they say they're doing. They're saying they're just, changing the way. It's not like they're going to get rid of all free school.
No, I understand. Yeah, they want to make it so that they're not, from what I understand, that like a whole school doesn't get free school meals. They want to go back to the way that I think it was in the schools that I went to.
Like means tested.
Yeah, like you have to like get approved every, semester or whatever, to get the free school meal program, and then you need like a card or some shit to show that you can get it, so that we can nicely point out the poor kids for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, that going back to that system would cost way more money than just doing like block free school meals for the entire school, because of the administrative costs of like having to check income every year and have applications filled out and reviewed every year. But that's just what I read, and I only read about it briefly, so I don't know.
Yeah, there is a correlation between free school meals and improving attendance, and I think academic performance to a small degree.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
there you go. The federal spending for free school meals across the country is $30 billion a year, which sounds like a lot, but it isn't.
Yeah, compared to some other stuff.
Well, yeah.
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 It's not.
It's like a $14 trillion economy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's more important things. If you want to talk about policy and spending, there's more important things than that. Than getting rid of that.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's just all about weaving a narrative of, look at this instead of the real thing.
Yeah. And pointing fingers at who the takers are. Those children who want to eat.
Yeah, or maybe even less cynically than that. Like, oh, look at the Democrats just putting these programs up and not just blanket writing checks. I think that's their angle, really.
Yeah.
Or what they want it to be, what they're trying to make it be. But, yeah. Okay, anything else to say about free school meals?
Not really, just in favor.
You don't miss school dinners then, when you would have pizza every day?
God, no.
No?
I hated.
So would you have vending machines?
Yeah, there were vending machines. You could buy candy and soda. There were a lot of kids who wouldn't have any lunch. They would sit in the hallway and drink, like, a Coke.
Right.
During lunch break. Yeah.
Right, a little diet pill inside it. Makes it more fizzy.
Yeah. No, I mean, there were multiple vending machines in my school, yeah.
Yeah, right.
You could buy candy bars or whatever. Yeah. I don't know if it's still like that now. I mean, I think some schools have tried to push that stuff out, but, yeah. They definitely had all kinds of shit brought in for us to eat.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it reminds me as well, I've known a number of people in Britain in the military, like all the Army, Navy and Air Force, and I think universally in about 2010, across all three, they changed the way the mess works, where they changed it to pay as you dine. So you pay for for your food, like you're stationed at an army base, and you pay for your food. Because they decided to outsource it to a private contractor. How the fuck does that work?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've talked about it and people have told me, but I would guess anyway, there's going to be a number of lads who are like, well, I won't eat then.
Yeah.
Which is not what you want.
Yeah.
At an army base.
Yeah. I mean, God, further than that,
Like, you can't afford to fucking feed them.
Remember in, Iraq for Sale, where the dude's they're talking about like, we have sodas on base and they hand them out free, and then the company charges the American taxpayer like $6 for a soda can, and they're made there in the desert, like they didn't ship them over or anything, like they're made like down the street, and
down the street in Saudi Arabia,
or we'll charge the taxpayer like $25 to do a bag of laundry or whatever. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, like a bag of laundry, like, man, I thought they'd be doing that themselves.
Yeah, well, there was a guy who said that his clothes always came back dirty, so he started washing them himself in the sink, and they told him not to. Yeah. Yeah,
because I remember as well, like, someone I knew who'd been in the Air Force in the 90s, and his job was just painting planes and getting high up with it. Like, I think he might have had to like stop because of brain damage, which he was all for. But yeah, he was saying that they stopped. I don't know if this is true, but he was saying that they outsourced all that. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, like you'd think that the RAF would get, you know, airmen to paint the planes.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, you'd think, yeah.
Yeah. Just privatise the lot, just, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm looking at a coup. Could you get me like 50,000 soldiers here by Saturday? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is this, the Olympics? Anyway, what else do we have?
Quiet Matilda. Yeah, we were going to talk about...
Hush Now, Chevron.
We've got a number of things written under this one, but
Yep.
Starfield.
Ooh, excited about Starfield. We're huge Skyrimmers.
Yeah.
We're big Skyrim fans and Fallout fans.
Yeah.
And, well, you've actually played Morrowind, haven't you?
Yeah.
I never played Morrowind.
Played Morrowind, played Oblivion.
Yep.
Yeah, and Skyrim's like one of my favorite games of all time.
Yep.
Still.
They're RPG games where you can sort of make your own adventure a bit and...
Yeah.
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 I guess you don't know. I'm sure you do.
Yeah. And Fallout.
What
Yeah.
do you have to say about Starfield?
Yeah.
No. It's Starfield. There's a period in there.
Starfield.
Starfield.
Do you want to start getting into this? Do your Colonel Sanders.
What? Why? I say, I'm going to the stars, boy.
Yeah. George, great at accents.
I ain't no
American.
big city lawyer, sir. I mean, that's not Colonel Sanders. That's the chicken from Futurama, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought you was corn.
Corn?
Corn? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you excited for Starfield?
Yeah, I am.
It's the new Bethesda RPG game coming in September.
Brand new, like, IP.
Brand new IP,
this,
the first
yeah.
they've done in like 20, 25 years, something like
25
that.
or something, yeah. Yeah. I am excited for it. You know, I'm not going to get overly excited because who knows how it will turn out, but I love the concept.
The concept is that you can play as a number of different characters. I gather that it's going to be slightly more free in terms of your character's backstory than Fallout 4. And you can go and work for Star Corporations or be a pirate or do various things in space and fly a
Space base
aircraft and
takes
build
place in the Milky Way galaxy
robot.
with both fictional and real, like, solar systems. And there's supposed to be like over 1,000 planets and space stations and stuff that you can explore.
Over 1,000?
That's what I read, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they said that they procedurally generated some of the planets and then sculpted around that generation. So I'm not totally sure what that means. I guess some combination of like procedurally generated and crafted. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think it looks exciting. You're a space person, and yeah, you can
You're a space
commandeer
person.
spaceships or buy them, or you can gather a crew. You know, I mean, what I really want from it is, you know, an RPG in the vein of Fallout and Skyrim, but in space.
With its own ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Imhotep, be quiet. I saw that it was $70.
Yeah.
Which I'm not that happy about.
Yeah,
I was expecting it to be 60.
I was expecting that as well.
I must have missed when new prices became $70 fucking dollars.
Yeah, I mean, people have been talking about it for a while. Like, you know, when is the next big jump in game prices going to happen? When's it going to go to 70? And I guess now.
Yeah. And then it'll be 75.
Yeah, we'll
get
just
to
keep going.
75 and then we'll get to 80. That's how numbers work.
That's right.
I mean, I'm gonna get it. I've been looking forward to it for like a couple of years. When I even like discovered it was happening. But I guess I'll make a playthrough or something so I can write it off on my taxes. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it will
I mean,
be the worst playthrough. I'm thinking that I'll just film myself playing it, and there'll be no.
The way that you normally would play.
There'll be no on screen. Yeah, but just film myself playing it with no on screen. You can't see what I'm doing.
I see, so it'll just be this. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Like, no over-the-top reactions. Like, when I die, I just go,
Yeah.
reload. No commentary. You can't even hear the sound.
I think you should consider maybe, like, checking it out, streaming some of it, because part of it is just that it's not that common for us to buy new games.
No.
I mean, I think we both have, like, a collection that we play quite a bit, and I don't know, I probably buy a new game, like, once a year at most.
Yeah, I can get a lot of fun out of playing the same games.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Starfield is using a silent protagonist who obviously just speaks in text.
Yeah.
Because I've been playing Fallout 4 the last week. As I tried to do a different build on my Fallout 4 playthrough this time, so I had a level 1 intelligence character. But I didn't want to make him like, I was trying. Well, what's the role-playing thing of him having 1 intelligence? So I made him look as best I could as Inspector Clouseau from Pink Panther. So he's like a bumbling idiot, and he has
His idiot savant.
And I basically have to turn with the voices off so that I can read him as like, I was wondering if you can help me. I'm looking for my baby.
Yeah, that's how you hear it. Yeah.
Not the Mickey, a baby. Yeah, that's how I hear it, and
yeah.
I thought the voice acting was fine in Fallout 4, but you can either be like nice or kind of like sarcastic, and that's it. And
yeah,
there's kind of a lot lost.
I get you.
By doing that,
you know, and you don't know exactly what they're gonna say. Even like you just get like the 1 word or 2 word like summary of what they're gonna say, and it's like, well, that's not how I wanted my character to say that.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I get you. I mean, I didn't mind the voice acting in Fallout 4.
I didn't mind it. I just wish it hadn't been there, so it was easier for me to be like, yeah, this lady's like a 300-pound lesbian. That's how she talks. Yeah.
Yeah.
She talks like she's chewing a bee.
It'd be nice to have options at least on, what the voice sounds like, or I don't know. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the fun in those kinds of games is like that I'm making my character, and the actual like the way the game crafts the story of them is like very minimal, so that it's like in my head, who my character is and how I'm doing things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Fallout New Vegas definitely did that better. But still, there were bits where you could make your own character. You didn't know anything about them except they were a courier and they knew the wasteland a bit. But I remember like someone saying like, "What are you looking at, boy?" And you can get into a whole argument about "Don't call me boy." But I was like playing like as like a 60-year-old version of Doc Holliday, and like he wouldn't call me boy. I'm like ancient in this playthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
You're like, did you just call me old man? No, I called you boy. Just play along.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'd be nice if there was more variety, and it'd be nice if moving forward with like Starfield, they move away from this trend of like subtracting RPG elements as the games go on. Like start adding that stuff back in.
I think they might.
Variety. Yeah.
I think they might.
And surely they're aware that that's a major criticism, like from Fallout 4 compared to the previous iterations.
I even think they intended some of that, some of the faction stuff in Fallout 4, where they have these different factions, but in New Vegas, which I think most people feel like that was the best RPG of the Fallout series, there were lots of different factions with their own unique feelings towards you. And you could get into situations where, there were 2 factions at war, but they both liked you, or they both hated you, and things like that. And that was kind of missing from Fallout 4, and I feel like they would have done that if they had had more time.
It does feel a bit rushed in general toward the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, having played a lot of Fallout 4 mods which just restore cut content, you can see there was a lot cut.
Yeah, same with Skyrim. You get a mod that restores cut content, and including like other companions you can have and stuff like that. Hopefully they have been working on this for several years now. So hopefully they've given themselves enough time to, I still love Fallout 4. I love Skyrim, but it's better with that stuff that was cut. So hopefully they give themselves enough time.
Did you find out if there was going to be microtransactions in it?
So what we've seen is that the ESRB rating shows this game includes in-game purchases, but that also is put on stuff that just has like DLC that you can buy in game. So it doesn't necessarily mean like microtransactions. We're not sure yet, is what I gather.
Or it could be microtransactions in the same vein as Fallout 4, where you can go to the Fallout 4 shop and buy a pink collar for your dog or something. Something that's actually kind of not important.
Yeah, that doesn't give it like a gameplay advantage, more aesthetic.
If they do it like that and allow people to make mods the way they've made mods for Fallout 4 and Skyrim, where they allow people to mod in armor and change armor color and things like that, I'm fine with it. But when they try and restrict that, no reason to think they will, but...
Yeah, that would be the key difference for me as well. Is
Yeah.
that the modding community is just so rich on games like Skyrim and Fallout.
Yeah.
And, you know...
And other games.
Yeah, and loads of other games. And even what you don't find on, like actually in Steam, you can go to Nexus Mods and find even more, you know. As long as that is still present and they aren't trying to, like, restrict modding, then I'm totally fine with that, because all of that stuff will come out in modding anyway. Any aesthetic junk and... yeah, and I mean...
Enemy?
What?
Enemy?
Enemy.
You said enemy
When?
just now.
I said, I mean... And then I trailed off.
Oh. ... Dead air. Okay. Do you have anything else to say then? We're looking forward to Starfield. It's not really that topical, but might as well say it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it, just because, there's always, like, new games every year, but I just
You looking forward to that or Life by You more?
Both. I am looking forward to Life by You, but kind of in the same vein that I'll need to see what else, like, as it gets closer to launch, because it's actually just early access that starts in September for Life by You.
Right.
And I think Starfield releases in September.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing early access like that. I mean, I hope it'll be a little bit broken when it comes out, so I can get that Bethesda feel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'll never forget a minor problem with Fallout New Vegas, like going through the first 4 hours of the game and restarting it because the character I built on release had a beard, but his beard was like 4 inches off his face.
Oh,
like
right.
a gap between it. And I restarted the game, rebuilt the character, and had the same problem. And then eventually had to be like, I'll have to make a clean-shaven man.
Yes.
Otherwise, he's just got this like magic beard hovering in front of him all the time.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway.
I mean, I'm sure we'll be keeping an eye on how that looks as we get closer to launch. And but yeah, I mean, it's not super common for me to be, like, very excited about a new game coming out. I'm not saying I'm very excited, but I am excited. And
Yeah.
so that's nice.
It looks like it would be fun.
Yeah.
What else?
I don't know, if maybe just a brief mention along those lines. They also have announced City Skylines 2. We both like City Skylines quite a bit. And I'm not sure what to think about that one, just because I don't know. I can think of things that I'd like to be added to that game, but I don't know if there could possibly be enough to make it worth buying a brand new game for it. Like, we don't know a lot yet, so we'll see. But I'm less excited about that, despite really liking the first one.
I thought the same about Crusader Kings 3, but that was worth it.
Yeah, you said that it's totally worth it. And
Yeah.
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 I just played the second one.
And the second one, with all the DLC, there's still way more options and it's still deeper than Crusader Kings 3. But yeah, Crusader Kings 3 is sort of refined, and I mean, I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't know I was going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it will be interesting. I'm sure it's, not just a reskin or anything, but
yeah. I mean,
the trailer made it look very similar, which is inevitable. It is a city game.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we'll see how it looks.
Yeah.
As we get closer.
What else?
You wrote down
Reddit
update.
Reddit. Yeah. Okay. The protests have gone well. I guess, I don't know. I mean, depending on how well you thought they were going to do. From what I can tell, Reddit is in a bit of disarray. A number of, I think about 8,000 subreddits went dark on their protest which was I think Monday to Wednesday, and then about 3,000 something stayed dark, basically inaccessible. And they're protesting over API changes, and Reddit has verifiably, because I saw it in Variety and somewhere else, sent the moderators of larger subs emails saying, if your sub is dark and you're a moderator, but the reason it's dark is because there's a more senior moderator, will help you coup them. And things like that. And I've seen various large subreddits basically say, Reddit has now told us that we will we can either choose to switch the Reddit back on or be removed as mods, and they'll switch it back on for us. Which I think is interesting, because you could sort of see that as like Reddit has won. It's making all these communities turn back on, or it's getting rid of them, or whatever. But I think that Reddit is probably the most community reliant big social media platform there is. It's and it really relies on volunteers. It's not like YouTube, where people are like making money and promoting themselves. Reddit doesn't have that aspect of self-promotion, and I think the users of Reddit are way more likely to get pissed off about threats to the community. It's a much more sort of solid community, whereas YouTube is very compartmentalized into individual niches. Where you can see a YouTuber who you've never heard of, and they have like 4 million subscribers and hundreds of millions of views, and it's like, well, YouTube is so big, you don't always see them. What?
Yeah, just listening.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Nothing. I'm
just
listening.
rambling.
No. I'm listening to you, and I'm also like occasionally hearing the. I don't know how much they can hear it in here, but yeah.
So I think that I don't think that Reddit will die, just like I don't think Twitter will die, but I could see it potentially annoying enough people that it begins to wane. Again, I don't think it's going to be like a critical failure or anything. But platforms come and go. There are ones that stick around, but... Yeah,
I know what you mean. It's kind of like...
I could imagine Reddit, if Reddit loses some value, I could imagine it eventually being integrated into something bigger.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like Reddit by Facebook. I don't think that would be a good idea for anyone, but, they're full of bad ideas.
Yes, they sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I mean, do you have any thoughts about, like, how do you feel about the protest? Is it worthwhile? Is it justified?
I'm honestly not sure what to think about it.
Yeah,
I just don't know. It's kind of like, we'll see what happens, I guess. How this shake-up will affect things long term will be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, if they actually got rid of the moderators who do it all voluntarily, and had employees moderating these big subs, maybe they could run it better, and maybe they could be fairer, and maybe they could get rid of, a lot of the guff. But at the same time, I wonder if part of the appeal is having these places sort of, run by people who are just community volunteers. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, that's the update.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you keep an eye on it.
The shit sandwich continues.
Yeah, it always does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep on it. It's just one big long baguette that's coming out of a machine. Like, have you seen that bologna machine in Wisconsin that's not been turned off since 1972? It's just been pumping bologna. Blah. Never stopped. It's never stopped. It's never been cleaned.
Yeah.
Maybe it has been cleaned. Maybe they've got another nozzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've made enough bologna that it can go around the world twice.
Yeah, right. Maybe they haven't turned it off. They're just like occasionally dumping chlorine all over it or something.
So that you just get like a long block of just pure chlorine that comes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I hope you don't get one of those. Yeah. What's next? Anything?
You wrote down mass shooting family.
Yeah, I read a story today, which I wanted to end on because it's obviously fantastically sad, about a man who shot his 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and 7-year-old.
Was it the ones where they were pulled off on the side of the road, or was that a different one that I was reading about yesterday?
I don't know.
Like little girl was running down the road
That's
screaming, "Daddy's killing everybody" or
Mm-hmm.
something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't read about it, but I saw the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just wondered if you had anything to say about that. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers. Yeah. America.
Because you could argue, about gun control and stuff, but to me that's not actually to do with gun control. Like, if he had not had a gun, would he have been like, "Oh, I won't do it then"?
Yeah. No, I know what you
Would he
mean.
have got a hammer?
Yeah.
In that case.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, that is like a manifestation of like some like social.
Illness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the core of it.
and obviously his own personal mental illness.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think if it weren't a gun, it would be something else.
In this.
Guns are, faster, more efficient, certainly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, no, really, I'm not, like, into guns, but I do think, like, the real core of the problem is, the deepest core of the problem is America. Fear, anger,
Yeah.
hatred, massive socioeconomic division. There's a lot of factors that make us a tumultuous country.
People say they want to get rid of, or I suppose it's Democrats broadly want to get rid of assault weapons, but most killings are done by handguns.
Yeah, most gun deaths are with handguns. Yeah, it's like not.
And
a
you
very
can't
big
ban
percentage
handguns in this country. I mean that
Yeah.
that I mean unless you did the opposite and went like assault weapons are fine,
Yeah.
handguns no.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've thought about before. Like, certainly, especially since we've moved here, like, quite a rural place, a lot of woods. I mean, there's bears and coyotes and rattlesnakes
And
and
methods.
bobcats and
Those damn Amish.
you kind of do need guns if you're like a farmer. You know what I mean? So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone's arguing against that. It's more like, why do you need?
Well, there are people. I mean, there's
yeah.
a segment that wants to like completely ban all guns, and I'm just saying, like, there are some really rural places in America where, like, no, you absolutely need a gun.
Yeah, you just don't need it to be like,
You don't need it to be
an auto-loading
AK
quad minigun.
Or yeah, exactly.
Do you?
But also, a handgun isn't going to cut it against a bear.
It would annoy it,
It would annoy it. Yeah.
but it might run away. I mean, I'd rather have a handgun than
Maybe.
nothing against a bear.
I guess black bears. That's what we have here. They are pretty like, they'll just kind of run away generally. They're not super.
You want a little potato gun. 300 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, that said, every time that we've heard what I'm pretty sure is a bear in the woods, I'm like, let's just back away to the porch slowly now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get away from this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, guns, it's complicated, Yeah, it's a complicated issue.
We'll leave it.
Yeah, leave it.
We'll leave it
Something
for
we
now.
can return to at some point, perhaps, because I think I do have more to say. But I also think somebody is dying to go PLAY.
Is it me?
It may also be you. Could be me.
Pedras.
Yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts for this episode? We've gotten through our list. Is there anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I do not think so at all. Thanks very much for joining us. I'll see you next week. Keep it real. Or I don't know, or don't. Or withdraw to a fantasy land.
See ya.